And I get off the plane and I get picked up and they're wearing like, I guess it's like German wear or whatever.
Like lederhosen?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Sick.
And so I was like, oh yeah, cool. And they're like, yeah, do you know where you are? And I was like, yeah, we're at Leavenworth. I don't know where it is though. And they're like, yeah, we're in Washington still. And I was like, oh, cool. All right. Yeah. I thought I was going to be in Oregon. And they drive me to the house that they rented out. And there's like 8 other influencers there that work with Zigzag as well that I've only gotten to talk to over like messages and DMs and stuff.
Yeah.
And we all just were like immediately just like, let's do this, let's do that, let's play volleyball outside, let's play spike ball, let's go swim. And it was like so cool to get there and not have everything just be about climbing.
Yeah.
And then we eased into the climbing. We got to go out. Like Leavenworth is a beautiful outdoor climbing spot. There was just climbs everywhere you go, like off the side of the road. Some people had like boulders on their lawn. It was so cool.
You just see chalk handprints everywhere.
Yeah.
Welcome back, friends. Today I drove to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm hanging out with a friend who's not climbing lately, although that's what people know him for. He's had a little bit of an injury. He's been taking a little time off, but we're here to hear a little bit of the backstory of it. Welcome to the show, Xavier Abdullahi, aka DaddyXClimbs. So is it Daddy X because your name starts with an X? Is that like where? Okay, because when I first saw that, I was like, that's kind of a interesting name to choose.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't catch the X originally, and so like a lot of people say, hey, it's DaddyXClimbs. And like I think it's like because a lot of people put the X in between things.
Yeah, sure.
This meets that, I guess. I don't know.
Is there anyone who calls you Daddy? I feel like has that been like a nickname or something?
Since the Instagram, yes, but prior to that, it was like a joke, like high school thing.
Sure.
Where me and my like 4 buddies called each other like Slay Daddy this, Slay Daddy that. We didn't slay or anything. But
yeah, I was like, I wonder if this dude's just really tall. Like maybe that's where the nickname comes from or something.
No.
Okay, so tell me in your own words, who are you and what are you passionate about?
I am just a friendly guy that I guess I'm always just looking to make other people like smile, here for a good laugh. And I come from a lot of struggle. And so when I see other people struggling, that's like the one thing that I like want to like be able to step in and make life a little bit easier for them. And so that's the gist of like who I am as a person. My passion currently is just creating. And I was able to do that through climbing, and I was able to do that in college for environmental science. And I was able to, I don't know, I just always am trying to find ways to create. I have so many ideas running through my head all the time.
Sure.
And I start to feel bogged down when I can't get them out.
So you said you came from struggle. I know I listened to a different interview you did on the Gear Junkie podcast.
Yeah.
It was like a couple of years ago. And in that you said you grew up like kind of inner city in Minneapolis, and then you moved out to the country somewhere, gravel roads. I don't know where you're talking about, so you have to tell me exactly where that is. That's when you got kind of into the whole outdoors thing, and then you came back to Minneapolis. So elaborate more on that story. You said you grew up in struggle. What was that like in Minneapolis?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't actually much of a struggle in Minneapolis to start. My dad did some illegal things to, support the family, and he ended up getting caught at some point. And so that's when everything like kind of took a turn.
How old were you at that point?
I was 7 years old at that time.
Oh, okay.
So then it was just me and my brothers and my mom, and we were bouncing from apartment to apartment until she remarried. And then he came to the U.S. and we moved to Dayton, Minnesota.
Oh,
and
she remarried someone she met online, or like
what? Yeah, Yahoo Chat.
Wow.
So that was like before like eHarmony, before Match.com, all that stuff. It was just Yahoo Chat. They met on there, and they have been married for like 10 years, 12 years maybe.
Has she ever met him in person before he like came over here and was like, guess we're getting married?
She actually flew out to him, and they got married in Jordan. And I don't know if they ever officially got married here or not, but
Dang. So. Pretty wild. So then so he's from Jordan, which looks beautiful. I watched this travel show called Departures, and they did an episode there, and it like looks incredible.
Yeah.
But I feel like somebody moving here from the Middle East, the first thing I think of is not like going to rural Minnesota.
Yeah. He wanted to move out there, and so did my mom, just like kind of get away from everything in the city.
Yeah.
My mom still worked at the hospital in Minneapolis the whole time, but just to kind of like have their own life. There's a lot of judgments in their relationship. So yeah, it's just, it was nice. And I appreciate being out there. It was like, it changed the entirety of my life, I think.
Sure. How old were you when you moved out there?
I was 12.
Okay.
Like
so the struggle you're talking about
grade.
is like a good 5 solid years that you guys were bouncing around at apartments and stuff before you went out into the wilderness.
Yep.
So did you guys get a place like on a bunch of acreage, or what did it look like out there?
No, we got like a three bedroom house. But all of my friends were like right on the Mississippi River.
Oh, whoa.
So, and a lot of them had a lot of acreage.
Sure.
But even if like some of them didn't, like they had like kayaks, and we would just kayak up the river to an island and hang out there, or kayak across the river and go like mess around on somebody's farm.
Yeah.
So.
But I interviewed this dude, Dexter Patterson. He's a professor down at UW-Madison, which was crazy because then he had me speak to his podcasting course as like a guest lecturer. Oh, nice. I didn't know there's a podcasting course at UW-Madison. I was like, man, you kids are paying a lot of money for this class right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is worth your time. But a big part of his story is he started the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin, because during the pandemic, he started going hiking more, and he's always been kind of an outdoors guy, and realized that in the birding community, it's like almost all old white people, you know? And so it's just like not an inclusive thing. Yeah. And when I think of like rural Minnesota, I kind of also think of just like all white people, you know what I mean? Like the outdoor space in general is predominantly white people. So I know with the content and stuff that you make, you kind of focus on it being more BIPOC friendly. How did you think of anything of it at the time when you were 12, 13 growing up, that like, I'm surrounded only by white people and this is like different for me? Definitely.
I think like the first day that we moved up there, we had, you know, those like pods that you can like put everything in it and then you unload it little by little in your driveway.
Sure.
So we had that, and we were unloading it, and me and my brothers were trying to make friends. And so the pod was empty. We're playing cops and robbers, and the pod was the jail.
Yeah.
And that was when we found out our neighbor was a cop, and he was like hassling us for like playing cops and robbers and like having people inside of this thing, which had air holes, and we weren't locking it or anything. We were keeping it propped open.
Sure.
And then ever since then, we were kind of like getting a little like picked on by that neighbor, and I don't know, we were just like the one of 2 black families in the neighborhood, like for as long as I could remember, I guess. Yeah. And the entirety of the neighborhood.
Growing up, like I think there's maybe 4 black kids in my graduating class of 400. Like there's just like not very many black people in Eau Claire for whatever reason, but we have like a large Hmong population. It's just predominantly white people that are there. So like I really wasn't surrounded by it. And I guess I didn't realize racism was still a thing. You know, when you're a kid, you don't really think about it. And then as I grew older, I started witnessing it more and more, where I was like, this is appalling that this still exists. But still, I thought there was like such a tiny percentage of people that were like that. And then all of a sudden it was like okay to not only like be racist, but be sexist, be homophobic. Like it's like everyone just got so loud about hating other people. But have you continued to witness that a lot in Minnesota, or not so much?
I actually didn't feel it as loud as up in Dayton as I did in the cities when I actually came back for college. I went to a Catholic university, University of St. Thomas, which was also predominantly white.
Yeah.
And so there I did actually start to experience it just as loud, but that was also right when George Floyd was killed. And so, yeah, it was okay at that point also.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
Why? Yeah. Why did you choose to go to a Catholic college? Was it just like that program was what you needed, or was it like there's a scholarship option or something?
There was a scholarship option for my first 2 years. There's a college that they were doing called Doherty Family College, and it was a college that was supposed to like give scholarship and financial help to people of color or people with financial struggles. And so I got a full tuition scholarship for my first 2 years.
Wow.
And then the last 2 to 3-ish years that I was there, that was at the main campus, and that was like a huge culture shift.
Sure.
But I'm like pretty adaptable, so it like wasn't a huge deal for me,
Yeah.
but it was for a lot of my classmates.
Sure. How have you been able to keep such a positive attitude through it all? I feel like from both sides of the spectrum in general, there's just like so much hate and so much negativity. But I feel like when you're in a position when you're the one who's faced with all of this, it would be hard to like have a smile all the time. You know what I mean? You just having like a constant smile on your face, I feel like is a little bit different, and obviously in a good way.
Yeah, I think it just came like from like having to be that person in the early family dynamic. Like my mom was always trying to keep a positive attitude, but I would hear her like crying in her room and things like that. And so I was like, okay, I can see what she's trying to do for my brothers and me. We can do that for her as well.
Yeah.
And so we were always trying to do that. And even when we would go visit my dad in prison, like you could tell he had just been crying. But then when he's like visiting with us, like he's trying to like look really cheery and like happy, and it's not hiding your pain from the people you care about, but it's trying to protect them from feeling that as well.
Sure.
Even though like you can have people carry some of that for you, but you have to like know other people's limits. And
sure.
Yeah. So
well, and it's different with every single person. So let's get to the actual climbing. I know I'm just like digging into your personal life, so I apologize for that. So getting into the climbing, I'm assuming in general you were like climbing trees and stuff as a kid all the time, but when did you get into actually like rock climbing? Like, I guess, what is it called when you just do it indoors? Is it still just called rock climbing, or?
It's still rock climbing, but like the gym that I go to mostly is indoor bouldering, or there's indoor like ropes or top rope or lead. There's all these different kinds, but I just call it all rock climbing.
Okay. Yeah. So what was it like? I'm assuming, what were you in college and they had a climbing wall that was part of like the rec area and you were like, cool, I can go use it?
There was a climbing club, and I wasn't really that interested in it until there was this girl on campus.
Cool.
And I was like trying to like figure out how I can like even approach this person, like work up the nerve to. And I found out she had a mutual friend of mine, so I was asking her, and she was basically like, oh yeah, she's a part of this club too, you should try that. I'm going with her this week. And I was like, dang, I can't go this week. And then I ran into her in the hallway like the next week, and I was like, hey, I heard that you go to this thing. I'm Xavier, by the way, but I would be interested in going too. And and then it worked out that way.
Wow, it's the original sliding in the DMs.
Mm-hmm. A lot more tumbling, but
dude, that's how I feel. So you went then to the club. Was it like an immediate, the first time you went, you were like, this is just something I want to do all the time?
Oh yeah, it was just like, and I had climbed before, like once or twice. Just like going with like my cousins or a friend of mine, like kind of like the weekend getaway sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went, and there was just this different kind of freedom in the space. And like, I didn't even really, at some point, didn't even care that she was there or not. It was just like, whoa, I want to try this. I want to try this.
Yeah.
And just, I kept impressing myself. And that was what's so exciting about it for me.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoa, I didn't think that I could do that. I didn't think I could do that.
Yeah.
Here I am doing it.
I mean, I've only gone climbing like a handful of times, but that's purely just because I'm a parent and I'm busy.
Yeah.
It's not because I didn't enjoy it. The times that I have gone, it's cool because like, and I guess it's funny, whatever you grow up doing, like whatever your hobby or your sport is, like you end up relating everything to that because like that was your experience, you know? And I grew up skateboarding. That's what I've done like my whole life. And now I do a lot of other things, but you listen to interviews with skateboarders, and anytime, and this happens a lot as they get older, they pick up photography or they pick up, you know, whatever thing they pick up, they're always relating it to skateboarding of like freedom and all these things. So there's like, it's really not that unique in that kind of a way. But one thing that I loved about it was it seems like inevitable that you're going to see some amount of progress every single time you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And skateboarding in that way, it's like if you spend 3 hours at the skate park, you're almost guaranteed to like learn something, even if it's just like a little bit better of something you already knew how to do. Like you constantly see that progression. And when I was going to the climbing wall, every single time I went, I did get like a new route, you know, or I got further on in the route until my hands hurt too bad to keep going. And I was like, well, I guess I'm toast now, but I'm like hungry to go back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when you first start going, like, it's so substantial, the growth that you're seeing, and so it's so easy to see. And then like it gets harder as you climb more and more and more, because then it starts to become these like little things. Same with skateboarding, I'm pretty sure, and like anything else. But it just comes down to like, are you actually like attentive about like what you're wanting to learn, or like are you looking to like see the growth that you're making, or are you just like hoping for that feeling at the start? But for me, it always feels the same. Like just my first dyno feels just as good as
what's a dyno?
Oh yeah, good point. A dyno is like a jumpy move, like when all points are
dynamic.
Off. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a better word for it.
That's where it comes from, I would assume. Okay, so let's talk about the journey though, as far as like you started an Instagram page. That's like how I even found you, right? And that's how like a lot of people, it's cool how that is like a separate creative outlet that you can use in partnership with anything that you like doing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's brought so many people together online, but also for this show. It's like that's how I find people all the time of all these different industries. And I've interviewed people who like make candles, you know. I've interviewed people who I told you about, Ed the Diver, who like cleans waterways through it. And it's all because of like social media that kind of like blew those things up where I was able to find them. So when did you start the Instagram account DaddyXClimbs? And at the time, I'm sure you didn't assume it was going to blow up, but I'm really curious, as that started to grow, did you run into like a strong feeling of imposter syndrome because you weren't like a super accomplished climber, but all of a sudden you have a bigger following than like other people in the climbing space?
I hold on, I guess
I asked a long question. So when did you start the Instagram? We'll start there.
I started it like 2.5 years ago, I believe.
Okay.
I was in my final semester of college, and I ended up actually dropping out just so that I can take a break and
from
be
school?
Take a break from school. And I just wanted to work at the climbing gym full time. They didn't offer full time, but
sure,
as close as I could get to that.
Yeah.
And then there was a local company, Escape Climbing, that was offering like a free chalk bag and free chalk to like local influencers. I was like, cool. Oh yeah, I don't have like a climbing Instagram, but that's a way that I can get a chalk bag and chalk without having to pay for it.
Sure.
And so I just made another Instagram account, DaddyXClimbs, and got the free gear. And then suddenly like things just started like rolling up a little bit more and more, and like engagement. And then there was another climbing influencer, Boulder and Wiser.
Yeah.
Her name is Kaylin, and she was like, she's originally from Minnesota, lives in Germany, and she was just visiting the gym. And I was like, whoa, I want to give you like free entry or whatever, and I love what you're doing. It's inspiring me. I'm getting ideas from you here and there. And then she was just like, oh, do you want to do like a collab? And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And so we did a collab, and then we did another, and I just started getting more and more traction on my page, because now like I had all this exposure from her as well,
sure,
as other people, and it blew up. And I had no clue I was ever going to have more than like my 15 climbing friends following it.
Sure. Do you think it climbed really fast because it was so niche? Because climbing is already kind of a niche thing. There's like not that many people that are in that influencer space, I wouldn't imagine, in comparison to other things like skateboarding. There's a million people that skate and post on the internet. So that's already small. But then again, being from the BIPOC community, there's got to be not very many, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like when you are very much niche like that, things catch fire faster.
Yeah, I think that helped a lot with it. Like climbing is already niche, and then me being BIPOC, like very niche. And so it was just really cool to, like, I guess, hit the algorithm the right way.
Sure.
And I would like study like 2 hours a day on like what I can do to like help the growth once I started like seeing it.
Sure.
And yeah, it was great.
I mean, it's like a video game, right? It's like when you start applying it like that, where you're like, how do I get to the next level?
Yeah.
You know, and that could be your follower count or whatever. It's like, it's fun it can be exhausting when it becomes your job, right? Because then you're like, well, I don't even care if I see growth, but I feel pressure to. But especially at the beginning, it's like you're seeing all of this growth in all of these areas, and you know the resources for you to learn are right there. You know what I mean? Just like in a video game where you can just go out in the field and hack away and your XP is going to go up. It's like there are the resources to learn to see that growth. Plus, I got to think that helped you meet a lot of people.
I've like built up so much of a strong community around climbing, and like people that are just like there for me and people I can be there for. I've gotten to travel so much through it. Yeah, I've met a ton of cool people.
So let's get to the question I asked before where it was too long-winded. Did you feel, as that started to take off, any imposter syndrome as far as like, I'm getting attention for this, but I'm not the best climber at my gym? You know what I mean? Because I see that, I saw that with skateboarding, where all of a sudden, like, I was growing my following, doing other things or whatever. Like, my show was on Thrasher, which is so sick, but I'm not the best skateboarder in my town, you know? And I kind of felt bad when I'm looking at these other people that are way better than me at skateboarding, but I'm getting attention. Granted, it's not because of my skateboarding ability, but still, there was a little bit of a feeling there of like, but you deserve it, not me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't really feel the imposter syndrome per se, but I did like get a lot of that sort of feedback like through other people, like, oh yeah, like this person's like saying like, oh, you're not even that great, like don't you want to like prove people wrong, don't you want to get better and like this? And I was like, well, I want to get better, yeah, but like at my own pace. Like I don't feel like I need to push myself this hard if I don't have this capacity at the moment. And yeah, it just like came down to me understanding like people aren't following me for my climbing skill. I was barely even posting videos of me climbing. And yeah, I just like would try to get that message across to other people. And there are people that I'd like heard that from where it's like, oh, we're great friends now. And we would have like long talks, and at the end they'd be like, okay, yeah, respect. Like you're not trying to be or project yourself as like this great climber. You're just trying to like lighten up the space a little bit. Yeah.
Well, and there's a difference, right, between trying to be a professional climber as in like competitions and like that whole thing versus creating content. It's not the same thing. And it is the same way with skateboarding or anything else. Like it's a different lane that you're in. You know, you're kind of sharing a space, but it's a bit of a different lane. Are you going to put out an album at some point or a little EP?
Probably, yeah. I have like 5 songs that I haven't released yet that I actually made before that one.
Wow, but once you've been cooking.
I've been cooking, yeah.
You said you're friends with Landon, right?
Yeah.
So has that been the inspiration? Landon Conrath was a guest on the show a while ago too.
Not really, but I do love Landon.
Yeah, you just played for the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible.
My favorite team.
Well, yeah, I would imagine so. Actually, I just had a clip do fairly well, so I'm curious what your answer would be. Who do you think the top 3 Minnesota Timberwolves in history are?
Ooh, okay. I feel like mine is going to be a little controversial, but I'm going to go number 1, Zach LaVine.
Not Kevin Garnett, okay.
Not Kevin Garnett. Number 2, Kevin Garnett. Number 3, Anthony Edwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think LaVine being number 1 is going to be something that I'm going to get a bunch of people arguing on the internet. So hopefully that's what happens.
I think at the time, LaVine was like the best, had the most potential, was the best player, just wasn't in the right structure.
Sure.
And then started experiencing some knee injuries, and it was sort of like the D-Rose sort of fallout. But he's having like a really, really good year this year, even with the trade. So
man, I got to pay more attention to basketball. Growing up, I played it from like kindergarten through 8th grade, but I knew I wasn't going to be good enough to play in high school.
Yeah.
And around that time frame, they stopped showing Bucks games in Eau Claire because we're so close to Minnesota, and they switched to Timberwolves games.
Wow.
And like, I was not a Timberwolves fan, so I was like, I'm over it. I was listening on the radio to some of the games when Ray Allen still played for the Bucks, and it got old quick, and I was like, I guess basketball is in the rear view mirror. So for climbing, when did you start coaching? And is it just like little kids and stuff, or you do one-on-one coaching with like other people? What is the coaching thing?
I started coaching like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
I started just like helping out with the summer camps at the gym I work at, and then doing like our youngest like kid groups. So we called it Pebbles, Boulders, and Mountains based on their age. And then from there, I started coaching our Progressives team, which is a team for people that really want to progress their climbing, but they don't really care to compete.
Okay.
Or they just need a little bit more experience before they can be on one of our competitive teams.
Okay.
And I really loved coaching that one. And then this past year, I've been coaching our competitive teams as well. So I coach mainly our junior competitive team, which is like ages 9 through 13.
Okay.
And then sometimes I help out the senior team, which is like 13 to like 18. And sometimes for our competitive team, which are same age group, but just even higher competition level.
How far did you get as far as skill level? And I mean, you're still like getting better, but did you enter competitions and stuff and found like you were succeeding in that, and that's what made you want to coach to help other people succeed in that? Or how did it kind of work?
I actually got a lot of inspiration from the kids that I was coaching to go out and try competitions, and I did a few local ones. Nothing USAC certified or like USA climbing hosted, but I love watching competitions and I love competing. I haven't really like done very well comparatively to other people at the competitions, but I've always been just really stoked about how I come out of the competition and how I went into it. And like, I learned so much about my weaknesses, my growth areas, and where I'm strong. And yeah, it's just really cool to see everyone like trying their absolute best. And it's just like a different experience than the hang out and talk and climb at the gym versus like, let's figure this out together. Like, and I'm a good test taker in school and everything. And so it just felt like that. It was exciting.
Yeah. Like you're trying to solve something. Like you were saying before, when people first get into climbing, they see like all this growth really, really quick. And then you start to taper off because it's just difficult. Right. And it's hard to be when you get to the point where, I'm not saying you are the best, but when you get to the point where you're one of the best or whatever, it's hard to keep progressing because you don't know how far you can really take it. Right. When you see somebody else who's way better than you, naturally you're like, well, if they can do it at that level, why can't I even do this thing? And you just naturally like progress, right? But when you're already relatively towards the top, it's hard to get a lot better. So when you start entering competitions and you see people that are way, way better, it's like, I feel like another motivator all of a sudden where you're like, oh, okay, I didn't peak. Like there's plenty more ahead of me.
I'm always just like, yeah, I could do that. I just need to like practice a little bit more. I can do that though. If they can do it, I could probably do it. It's doable.
Yeah, I've always had that mentality. Like I think sometimes, the whole saying of comparison's the thief of joy. I think that does get me in a negative way sometimes. But I also think like I like to look at it as if this person did it. It's not if this person did it, why can't I? Or how would I say it? It's not I should be able to do this because this person did it. I'm bummed out on myself because I haven't done it.
Yeah.
It's more like if that person was able to, then I must also be capable. So how can I do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it feels like I relate myself in that way. Like this must be something that I could do. So did you start the Instagram at the same general time frame then you started coaching?
Yes, I believe so, actually.
Okay. How long was it before that started to take off? And what was the first like opportunity that came from that?
It was probably like 3 months before like suddenly I started like getting people I didn't know following me.
3 months after you started the page?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like really fast.
Yeah.
And then like 6 months in, I probably had like 15,000.
Wow.
And so I started getting some opportunities, people reaching out to me to like have me do like promos for them or things like that. My first 2 sponsorships I actually got on the same day.
Oh.
And it was Topo Designs, love their brand, and Zigzag Climbing. But I had 2 meetings in the same day, and I just went with my friend that was recording for me, Carter Rogers, and we went to a coffee shop. We were talking about what I should say and what I should do, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably like I really want to be with both of them. This one doesn't have like that much money. Like they just launched like 2 months ago. So I think I'm just going to offer to like promote them for free and like help build that brand. And the other one like might be like be able to offer me some money to like support myself so I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
And it worked out exactly like that.
Wow.
And I was just able to then collect a check every like 3 months and just make videos and be at the gym and be exciting, and it was great. Yeah.
Did you like negotiate with that to like still have full creative freedom, or how did that kind of work?
I did. I was just I think both companies were just like, hey, like we just want this to feel like a casual relationship sort of.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously the one that was paying was like, we do need some of these to like be hit.
Yeah.
But like if you're going through something, just communicate that.
Sure.
And that was like really great. And so it was a good year that I worked with them, and then they did some reorganizing of their company, and so it just didn't make sense for
Sure.
for them to keep supporting me financially with also my lack of content at the time.
Yeah, sure. Because right now you're kind of on a whole pause of it. It seems like I was scrolling back for a while. I watched a lot of your content, and it seemed like last summer you were like going pretty strong there for a while. But your last post now is like October. So what's up with that? Are you just like totally, I'm just done, or is it just like I need to recalibrate my thoughts and I'm like building up for a run for the next 90 days, or like what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm kind of just always constantly reminding myself that I don't owe anyone anything but myself. Obviously, I do appreciate all the support I get from the people that do support me, whether that's on Instagram or my family or my friends. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, if something in my life feels off balance, I want to reorganize that in a way that's going to work for me.
Yeah.
And obviously, I love creating. I still want to create. I love climbing. I still want to climb. But yeah, just like taking it slow. I wouldn't say it's like a permanent pause, but I also don't know like when I'll get back into it.
Sure.
And I'm like really happy with like the way that I'm easing in and out of passions and hobbies that I've had right now, and everything which feels pretty good. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where, again, I'm bringing up skateboarding, but I always tell people like the skateboard is always going to be there. It's like not leaving you. It can sit in the corner and get dusty or whatever, but it's like still going to be there, you know, right? And same way with climbing. It's like you could still just do it more, but you haven't stopped climbing, right?
No,
You've been climbing this whole time.
Been climbing intermittently because I've been getting these like random little injuries. I just turned 30 like a month ago, so
congrats, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
I'm turning 35 in May, and I'm like, whoa, dude, what happened to me? I'm closer to 50 than I am to 18.
I'm starting to feel it in my body, and it's just like, dang, I like need to like make sure I'm taking care of myself in certain ways. And so I just have been really like feeling that, and also like winter hit twice now since I've started doing the Instagram thing, and I've noticed that both of those times I like really fall back on creating. And I think part of that is just like I never want to like fake a smile. So like I do always smile even like when I'm struggling or whatever, but like at the same time, like if I am going through something or whatever, like I kind of just want to like be surrounded by people that I feel comfortable not having to protect from like what I'm going through, or just like be able to drop the smile and hang out. And that's kind of what I was doing this past winter and the winter prior.
I mean, I think that's one of the best lessons you can learn as you get older, is that things aren't necessarily a race. So like if you need a break, it's totally okay to take a break. You know, if you lose a little momentum or whatever, like you can always gain that momentum back. Is really not the end of the world. But that makes it seem like then the social media isn't really like the overarching goal of like what you're trying to do. So what do you want to achieve with it? Like, do you want it to be your full-time income as like all climbing all the time type situation, or no?
Not necessarily all climbing all the time. Okay. I do really love making climbing content and climbing. I just see it as it's something that gave me the confidence to like actually like express and storytell in ways that I feel people might want to hear. Is like, oh wow, actually, yeah, people do enjoy this idea or this thought. At some point it became sort of just following trends, and that's when I like also pull back a little bit. But I think ultimately I really just want to be able to tell stories in creative ways, because I'm not the best speaker per se, but I can convey a message really well.
I mean, not getting caught up in the results. Like I interviewed my favorite music artist a couple times now, Sunreal. He's the man, and I'm gonna butcher how he said it, but he said, if you start attaching yourself to results, you're going to make the worst art you've ever made. And I was like, man, that's so true. Like I was talking to the class at UW-Madison, and one of the students asked me, like, when you have had stuff go viral, because if you do it long enough, everyone has something go viral at some point. He's like, do you just like try to copy that? Like, do you like look at how that happened and whatever? And I'm like, well, I mean, I want to understand why, but I don't want to just sit there and replicate things because I think that's what is going to work, you know? And then what ends up happening is you see people get way too niche down and pigeonholed into something because they're just like double downing on like the one tiny little thing that worked over and over again, and they get sick of it. I've seen a lot of people that are huge on the internet that are not enjoying what they're doing at all because they're just like, well, this is the only thing that works. Let's get back to the positive parts of it though. So I know that must have opened some opportunities for you, because when I listened to the other podcast, you said something about getting a grant to go like ice climbing, which is so wild. So what are some of the more memorable opportunities that have came so far through the whole like climbing social media journey?
Yeah, so through the American Alpine Club, which I found out from just somebody at my gym, they were hosting like BIPOC nights, so I could like climb for free at other gyms as well.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I found out through one of them that there's a scholarship for this ice climbing thing in Michigan. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll apply for that. And I like didn't apply. And then the next winter, I was like, dang, like that looked really cool. Okay, I'm going to apply. I applied, I got the scholarship. They hooked me up with like, it had to have been like over $5,000 worth of gear. I don't know exactly, but it was like Arc'teryx jackets, the outer shell, inner shell, pants. They gave me some La Sportiva like ice climbing boots and just everything I needed. And I own all of that stuff now.
Wow.
So I can like continue to go ice climbing. I can loan it out to other people.
Sure.
But we went out to Michigan. I didn't know really what to expect. I get cold really fast.
Yeah, you don't have too much meat on your bones.
Yeah. And so we're out there and I'm nervous. And I think one of the first nights, or I like signed up for these clinics. My first clinic was with Dom Mullins, who was a part of the Full Circle Everest team.
Okay.
So it's the first all-black team to summit Everest.
Oh, wow.
And I'd just been like following that, and it was like so cool to like meet this guy in person. And he's just telling me all these stories, and then also just like he was showing us all like his free climbing abilities. Like he's like, don't ever like do this, right? It's always dangerous, unnecessary. But in this case, like it's easier for me to just go up here right now without any ropes and to go set the anchor. And it was like, whoa, like he's so cool. He's just like doing this whole thing and so good at it, so comfortable. It's like second nature to him. Like he was climbing the ice like he was walking, just as easily. And that like gave me so much inspiration. And then I just tried my best and I was crushing it. I think at least it was so much fun. It was so cold though. And then like after that clinic, I like got his number and was like, hey, like some of us are thinking about going like climbing tonight. And he's like, yeah, I'll join. I was like, cool, awesome. Yes. And then he like hung out. We went climbing that night. And then the next day I met up with him again for lunch, and it was just like, just made a friend that weekend.
Yeah.
Somebody that was like super inspiring. So I got to like have that like connection mixed with my first time ever ice climbing in a place that I'd never been before. And it's so cool.
Yeah. Well, and it's just because you actually like tried the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of like filling out the dumb paperwork for those things. Because a lot of people just don't like shoot their shot because they assume they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Which is so like silly, you know, like in giveaways now, like social media, Instagram seems to just like shadow ban them if you try to do them, so they don't do it. But one thing I used to notice, which didn't make any sense to me, is like I would do a giveaway of something like pretty cool, but it was like pulling teeth to get people to enter, even if all it was like just comment, like literally like just drop a comment, and so that way I know you want the thing, and that's it. And you like couldn't get anyone to do it. But I remember Venmo doing a giveaway at one point where they were giving away like $100 or something, not even significant, like $100 to like 500 people or something for people who were sharing to their story. But you know, millions of people were entering that giveaway, and the like likelihood of them winning was like next to nothing, and you had to do more. I saw so many people post that. But the small thing that I was doing where I'm like, dude, there's only like 10 people putting their name in, and it costs you nothing and takes you like 15 seconds, but you can't, you know, for whatever reason, people just assume that like they're not going to get stuff, you know. But I think people who just actually apply and ask, you'd be surprised by how many times you hear yes from things like that.
I'm pretty sure that year that I applied, I was one of, or they accepted everyone who applied because there was only one additional person that applied. And so they found the funding. So it's just like, if I didn't apply, I wouldn't have gone. And I was so worried about just not getting it and spending the time on that application. I was like, oh yeah, just apply. And then like, I don't know. When I look back on everything that I've applied for, all the scholarships and grants, there's maybe been like 3 that I actually haven't been awarded. And every time I'm like, whoa, this is exciting. It's like all I had to do is take the hour or 2 that it took to fill this out and write this paper or tell this story, or maybe just a minute to click this button, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like one of the good things as far as being from a underprivileged group where there's like not a ton of people, like a ton of people from the BIPOC community in it, is like there are a lot more programs to try to help people like that because they're trying to bring more diversity to it. You know what I mean? There's just like other programs. There's like the BIPOC nights where you can go climb for free. It's like, if you think that you don't belong there because you don't see people of color in it, there are opportunities for you, and maybe it's like the perfect time to get into it. Have you seen that grow like over the last handful of years in like the gym that you're at, or in general in the community?
I've definitely seen it grow at my gym and in general in the community. I think like just climbing in general is like there was already so many people that were climbing when I first started, but in comparison, it's got to be like more than quadrupled now.
Wow. Why do you
I
think
feel
that
like
is?
there's a lot more just exposure for the sport. There's the Free Solo movie, there's the Alpinist, there's the Real Rock films are gaining some traction as well, and those are all like really cool. And then also just like through social media, people like there's so many people that would comment on my Instagram saying, I don't even climb, but you're making me want to go. Oh, like, and I get DMs like, thanks for encouraging me to try climbing, and like I love it. And it's like, oh, okay, like this is cool. And it's all just word of mouth. And I don't know, maybe there's just a lot of people out there that people find attractive, and they want to join them at the climbing club or something.
Just like you, huh? How do you feel about the whole Olympics thing? Because that's like controversial in skateboarding. With 2020 was the first Olympic skateboarding was in it, and it's like, skateboarding's not a sport. It's like, yeah, I mean, I agree, but I think it's overwhelmingly been a positive thing for the industry. How do you feel about climbing with it?
I thought it was great. It was like one of the few sports that I watched in the Olympics this year, but yeah, it was really cool to see that sport up there and to just see all of the questions that people had about it, and like to be able to like feel, I guess, how it felt to before I knew anything about climbing. I was able to experience that again through other people's comments and experiences there, and then also just like to hear like through friends like, oh, my friend was also like competing in the Olympics. It's like, whoa, okay, like I'm one person away from somebody who competed in the Olympics. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, just being such a small community, how many different like disciplines and stuff were there? I saw, like, I Googled it to like look, and I saw that it's like insane. It's taking them 5 seconds to scale God knows how far. Like how they run up looks like something like Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how they do that. But is it just like there's one wall with identical and it's just head to head, and that's the whole thing for the Olympics?
So that's the speed climbing version, and that one is really cool, but it's always the same route for both people, and they just race to the top. And that one's probably the easiest for like people to understand like how it works, just because it's like, oh, whoever gets to the top first. But then there is the bouldering section, or I think my memory is horrible. They might have done bouldering and lead and all of that together, but they might have split it up. I think they did all of that together. But in that section, it's more so like who can get the furthest or who can get the most tops in general. And so we usually have like a zone at the middle and then the top. And so if you have 4 boulders that everyone in your category climbs the same one, and you got through like half of 2 of them and you got to the top of 2 of them, but I only got through like half of one, didn't even get to half of another and got the top of the other 2, then you would take that win.
What if everyone gets all of them?
If everyone gets all of them, then I think they just call it a draw. They
just have to make it a harder thing. If you got to be on the Olympic committee, what would you do to change it so it's better in the next Olympics?
If they did include lead with bouldering, I think I would split those 2, because there are a lot of...
What's lead?
Lead is like where you have to like climb a really tall route versus like, and you're on a rope as well, but you're clipping your rope in at different segments. And I think where you clip in, that's where they mark your checkpoints. I also like don't know much about lead. I've only done it outdoors once and never inside. And
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have your zone, which now includes ice climbing. When you did it, is that using the like picks with the things in the shoes where you kick it into the ice? And
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah. So like there are some points where like I just have like a little edge of my like boot. I don't even know what's called, boot claw or something.
Yeah.
Like just on the smallest like edge of the ice, but you just kind of have to like lean in, get your hips in, and like trust that that's gonna hold. And then, but also like you usually want like 3 points of contact.
Sure.
Before moving the next one.
Yeah. Oh my God. After you did that once, did you just feel like that was your future? Like Everest is something you need to do in your life?
No, it was like, oh, this is great, but I can't feel my hands right now once I got to the top. And I was like, yeah, this is something I'll do here and there.
How tall was it, the one that you did?
I think I'd probably say like maybe like a 35.
Oh, so not
waterfall.
like little then.
Yeah, not little, but not
Not
like super tall. Yeah, no. And it was just like a waterfall off of Lake Superior in Michigan. Yeah.
Just casually, it's a frozen waterfall off. The way you say that is like, it's no big deal. It's just really picturesque. You know what I mean? Like,
it was beautiful. Yeah, it was gorgeous.
You got to send me some photos of that so we can throw this on social
definitely.
media. So I got a few different list questions for you. That's why I'm looking at my phone. So what are your top 3 dream places to go ice climbing in the world? Where would you go?
Let's see here. I'd probably I want to go back to Michigan, even though I've already been there. But it was just so beautiful. I am all for experiencing it again. I would say there's got to be good ice climbing in Norway.
Yeah.
I would love to try that if there is. And I have a friend out in Norway that'd be nice to visit. And I could check out Magnus's gym, which is out there. And then I would say, maybe Alaska.
I've seen some pretty crazy photos of Iceland.
Really?
So I'm going to throw it out. And again, that show, Departures, yeah, check it out. It's so good. So it was on Netflix a long time ago. It's these Canadian guys, and they were in their like late 20s when they did it. And it was like these 2 dudes that owned a videography company. And I don't know how they figured out the funding for it, but they like came up with this idea they were going to travel the world for a year nonstop, like not go home.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they roped in one of their other friends to come with, so that way there'd be like an extra character, because one of them had to be behind the camera, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was Scott and Andre owned this company, and they brought their friend Justin. So you mostly see Scott and Justin. Well, anyways, were professional videographers, right? So the show, visually was amazing, and it won a bunch of awards, and then they got a bunch of funding. They ended up traveling nonstop for 3 years. They did 3 seasons of it. And what was really cool about it is they didn't go to all the like common places you see. Like in the 3rd season, they went to North Korea.
Whoa.
Yeah, they went to like Russia, like in Siberia. They went to like a lot of really cool places, and it's like relatively unscripted, and dudes in their 20s, so like you see them partying and stuff, but it's like visually stunning. You got to check out this show. It's so good. And then even after that, they kept making stuff, and Scott and Andre, Justin was done, but they found a different guy to hop in, and they did a show called Descending, where they were scuba diving all over the world.
That's cool.
And again, visually, it's just like stunning. But they go to Iceland, and you see them like climbing the glaciers and stuff, and it's incredible. So you mentioned a gym that was in Norway. What do you think are the top 3 gyms for rock climbing in the world?
Ooh, in the world.
Yeah, that you could go to. Where like if you had unlimited money, you're like, I'm gonna go to whichever 3. Which ones would you pick?
Okay, I don't know the name of any of them, but I would definitely go to a gym in Japan.
Just because you want to go to Japan?
Or there is one you know so about? Many videos of how much like dynamic movement they set there.
Sure.
And so I'd love to like try that out and like just learn a lot. And I would say, let's see here. Oh, I love high climb in Hawaii.
Have you been there, or are you just like...
I've been there. I would want to go back.
What brought you to Hawaii? Why'd you go?
I was just there visiting a friend, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go out there. A free place to stay. All I had to do was pay for the flight.
Sick.
It was like post-COVID, so it's just like really getting tired of being like pent up.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a trip that only cost me like $700 for like a week and a half in Hawaii. It was so nice. And then let's see here. I want to pick a gym. I think Chris Sharma has a gym in Spain.
Okay.
I could be mistaken, but I would want to go to that gym also.
So that leads me to wonder, who do you think are the top 3 climbers in the world? Because that's tough, because there's so many disciplines, right?
Yeah, there's so many disciplines. I'm just going to go by, like, I'm just going to rate these by the top 3 people I would want to climb with that I haven't gotten to climb with yet. We'll say Barefoot Charles, or Charles Albert. And I'll tell you the story on that. Chris Sharma and Yanya. I don't know her last name, but she's probably honestly the best climber in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you just see this through like social media, or how do you know they're the best? Are they enter all the competitions? I feel like there's got to be incredible climbers that just don't do competitions either. Right?
She's got like an insane amount of World Cup championships or something, and like she's like 30 maybe, I don't know, but like has just been at the top of her game and like constantly improving. It's almost like the LeBron of climbing.
Okay, tell me the story about Barefoot Charles.
Barefoot Charles. Okay, so this is this French climber, I believe, but when I was like early into climbing, I went to this Real Rock viewing, which is like Real Rock is this it's the streaming service, but they also do yearly like this big like collective of small film or short films.
Okay.
And so this was one of the first ones I'd ever seen, and it's this guy that climbs in Fontainebleau in France, and he just climbs barefoot.
Wow.
At some point, I think when he was like 13, he decided he didn't want to buy shoes. He just wanted to climb. He didn't want to have to work. And so like he just was living underneath a boulder in this area full of boulders and just was climbing every day. And it was like being so early into the sport and like seeing somebody who was so passionate about it just gave me so much love for the sport myself. And it was just like, oh yeah, this is so cool. And immediately like the next weekend I gather like a group of like 15 friends and we go outdoors and we're all trying to climb barefoot and we're just like, Barefoot Charles, Barefoot Charles. So exciting. Yeah.
Wow. Dude, that sounds incredible. Yeah. What do you think are the best places in the Midwest if somebody is like has to drive from Minneapolis or I guess Eau Claire where I live? What would be the top three ones for people to go visit?
Ooh. There's what's the name of it? There's one in Wisconsin called
Boulders Climbing Gym. Greater Heights Climbing Gym.
Oh, are we talking outdoor or like, drivable gyms?
Drivable places that you could go. Yeah, gyms.
Okay, I see gyms. I thought we were talking about like outdoor locations.
Well, now we'll have to do that next.
Yeah.
So what is it that you could go to? Are you thinking of Devil's Lake?
Devil's Lake, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We really struggled to find that, but we found it. Okay, but no, talking about gyms, people who want to get started and they're like, I just want to visit like the coolest ones, and they're willing to make day trips. What are the three coolest ones between like Minnesota, Wisconsin? I
would say the gym I'm at, Minneapolis Bouldering Project. It's a great one.
Shameless plug.
It's huge. And there's a new one in Plymouth called Big Island Bouldering. And I think like they have an advantage of being new. Like they have so many new holds. Like everything they got is like brand new. And so like there's a lot of like climbing holds that have just been like designed recently that like change the game a little bit. And so climbing there, like everything I touch is like, whoa, this is new.
Yeah.
And then I would say probably there's one in Madison also. It's like downtown. I know their competition is called Downtown Throwdown.
Okay.
But I really like the gym. It's a small gym.
Yeah.
But like they're so creative with the space. Their ceilings are pretty low, and so there's a lot of like overhung angles, and like you just have to like get creative. Like sometimes you're climbing from slab into like a cave sort of route where you're like almost horizontal with the ground and then back out into like a vertical climb. Yeah, Boulders Climbing Gym, downtown location is the one I went to. I loved it.
People need to go check it out. Okay, so you're talking about like people seeing social media, people seeing the Olympics, people seeing movies that get people into climbing. What are your top three favorite movies in the climbing space? I feel like everyone's heard of Free Solo, but
yeah, Alpinist is my number one, and that one's narrated by Alex Honnold from Free Solo.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
Where can people watch that? Any idea?
I think that one's on Netflix.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah. And I would say the Barefoot Charles mini film, that one's a great one. It's really funny.
Is it just on YouTube?
I think that one's on Real Rock. It might have the full one on YouTube now that it's like a few years old.
Okay.
But Real Rock is a streaming service as well. You can
just for rock climbers.
Yeah, it's great.
There's niche things for everything. Okay.
And then I would say, Free Solo. I love that. It was a great movie, and just like the inner workings of like kind of what pushes people to try the next hardest thing. Like you know, you just kind of want to feel that adrenaline. And I think that like covered it. So like Free Solo for me covers like the adrenaline feeling. Barefoot Charles just covers the passion into the sport, and like just wanting to always try to progress to like the next hardest thing. Yeah. And the Alpinist is just pure love of every part of it. Like this guy's like ice climbing and like regular climbing and or like lead climbing or and then also like bouldering all in like one like trip or one climb. Like he's just climbing everything. Yeah.
So how do you feel about the impact movies have on it? Because I am like split on that type of stuff, because obviously it gets people excited, you know, and inspired to do stuff, but I also think it inadvertently is the trigger for deaths and stuff, right? Because people then try things that they should not be doing, regardless of how many times you put on the screen, don't try this at home, people will.
Yep. I also feel that same way. Just like, I guess my personal experience from it was I saw Free Solo before I even was like climbing regularly, and I went on like a little hike somewhere and I saw a rock and I was like, oh, check it out, I'm gonna Free Solo. And I fell and I like really hurt my chest. On another rock. And so like I get it, and I was one of those people that just like sees it and it's like, oh yeah, I could do this. But I think that they can do a good job of like showing the dangers. That one definitely, like I was just one of those people that, you know, as many times you tell me it's dangerous,
you're just reckless.
It's just gonna go straight from one ear out the other. And I'm like, yeah, but how dangerous could it really be? You know, like it can't be like that hard, right? And then I get on a wall and like my fingers can barely support like just myself, let alone like any gear that I'm having on or anything like that. So yeah, I feel like the effect though is good. I think it will draw more people to the sport, but I also think that it shows, like if you're watching these all the way through, there's a lot of education and safety and and anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you could take a trip anywhere in the world, you could bring your friends, however long you want to go, specifically to climb, where would you go?
I've never been to Squamish, and I would want to check that out. It's in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
I believe. I could be wrong, but I would either go there for bouldering.
But in the summer.
In the summer, yes. Or in Spain, there's some like deep water. I'm sure there's deep water soloing like everywhere, but it's like
what's deep water
super
soloing?
Tall cliffs that you climb the edge of, but when you fall, you're not falling onto like rocks or anything. So you don't need ropes. You just fall into the water, and then there's a boat out there to like pick you up. But isn't it just really slippery? Do
you chalk your hands like repeatedly every time you get out of the water?
I think you like get dropped off at the start from the boat.
Okay.
This could be wrong, but this is how I saw it there's like a series that was out hosted by Chris Sharma and what's his name? Who's that like action actor? Jason Momoa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like he wouldn't be a good climber. That dude's so big.
He's a climber, yeah.
Really?
And he even like owns like I think a private gym in Wisconsin. Like just that is his.
He's not from Wisconsin, is he?
No. But he owns like a building that used to be a climbing gym. I think it still has everything in it. But yeah, him and Chris Sharma have this show on HBO, I believe.
Wow.
And it's like a competition series.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was getting with that. Oh yeah, deep water soloing. In that I saw like a lot of deep water soloing, and it was so cool. But yeah, they're just dropping them off with the boats at the start. So you chalk up, your shoes are dry, and you get on the climb, and then
Straight from the boat.
And
then they move the boat out of the way.
And then you climb up and fall into the water, and your shoes are wet at that point. I have gotten to do something kind of similar to that. I was brought out to this climb festival hosted by North Face in Chicago like 2 years ago.
How did you get brought out to it?
They asked me to come out to like film content, which was an
like the festival itself, like DM'd you, or like what do you mean?
Yeah, like North Face DM'd me and was like,
North
hey,
Face did.
Yeah, would you like to come out to this climb fest? We're doing this competition and for like National Climbing Day. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they paid really well too. It was really nice. So I drove out there and I stayed with a friend's family, and then I just got to do this. They had this wall like built up, but it was out on the lake, and you just climb up the wall, and at any point you fall down into the water, and then they have some like lifeguards in the water like there to help you out, which is good because I kind of panicked when I fell.
Yeah.
I fell.
Are you not a strong swimmer or what?
I'm a pretty good swimmer, but I think like the waves were like really strong, and so I came up, my head was out of the water, and I go to like take a deep breath, and then the wave hits me right as I take the deep breath, and it's like, and I like kind of like struggled for a second, and then like I felt somebody's arm on me. I was like, okay, I can relax.
Sure.
Yeah, and they got me to safety, but it was like no big deal. I don't think anyone noticed, but I definitely was like, oh.
Had a little bit of a scary moment. I'm a very strong swimmer, but there have been a few times where I underestimated water, and like things could have been a lot hairier than they were. You told me off mic that you got to take a trip with some friends with Zigzag. So Zigzag, are they mostly known for their pads? Is that like their main thing? They make chalk bags and stuff too, but
yeah. So they like make like a super unique chalk bag, and their pads are very unique as well, like super innovative. But everything is made like sustainably for like as best as they can.
Yeah.
Using like recycled plastic or making it so that it's 100% recyclable or something like that.
Yeah. And that was the company that you started working with for free at the like ground level.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm still just like a big fan of the company altogether, and I just want to see its success really. And they've been really cool to me too, and like when I'm going through tough times, just like wanting to like talk with me. And like they're like friends now. It's just two brothers that own the company, Matt and Lucas.
Sure.
But yeah, they're really cool guys. They were telling me about this idea where they wanted to really support climb influencers, because they're like, yeah, we like love what they're doing for the sport. Like you guys, we only reach out to you guys because like we found your content engaging, like super exciting, and made us want to get out to the gym, makes us want to do this and makes us want to do that. And he's like, yeah, we feel like there should be more support for the climbing influencers. And so here's what we're going to do for you guys. We want to bring you guys out, and we can all just like hang out at a house together. You guys can make content together. We go climbing together, and we'll have like dedicated like people filming so that you can get this huge file of you climbing, like just videos and all the stuff, so you don't have to worry about setup or anything like that.
Wow.
It was really cool. So we get out to, they actually kept it a surprise, the location. So I thought I was going to Oregon. I just assumed they would bring us to their hometown.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't look at the ticket, like, cause that'll, spoil the surprise. I'm pretty good at like being oblivious. So I'm just at the airport handing everyone everything. I know which gate I'm going to, and there's a city, on the departure thing, but I don't know where that city is. And get off the plane in Seattle, and then I was supposed to get on another plane, and it was my first time on like a mid-size, like smallish plane.
Yeah.
And then we're flying into like some like country area or whatever, like just and I get off the plane and I get picked up, and they're wearing like I guess it's like German wear or whatever.
Like lederhosen?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Sick.
And so I was like, oh yeah, cool. And they're like, yeah, do you know where you are? And I was like, yeah, we're at Leavenworth. I don't know where it is though. And they're like, yeah, we're in Washington still. And I was like, oh, cool. All right. Yeah. I thought I was going to be in Oregon. And they drive me to the house that they rented out. And there's like 8 other influencers there that work with Zigzag as well, that I've only gotten to talk to over like messages and DMs and stuff.
Yeah.
And we all just were like immediately just like, let's do this, let's do that, let's play volleyball outside, let's play spike ball, let's go swim. And it was like so cool to get there and not have everything just be about climbing.
Yeah.
And then we eased into the climbing. We got to go out. Like Leavenworth is a beautiful outdoor climbing spot. There was just climbs everywhere you go, like off the side of the road. Some people had like boulders on their lawn. It was so cool.
You just see chalk handprints everywhere.
Yeah. That's usually my guidebook is look for chalk handprints.
Sure.
But yeah, it was amazing. And we made a lot of content and we just got to really like hang out and get to know each other. And I think we were there for like 4 or 5 days.
Oh, wow.
Food was all covered. Housing was covered. Flights and everything were covered. And they just wanted to like give us a big appreciation for like everything that we've been doing for them. And it was super cool. Hopefully we can do that again at some point, but I know that like costs a lot.
Yeah. I was going to say they must have sold a lot of chalk bags.
Yeah. Hopefully they are able to sell some more. They're really good chalk bags, but yeah. I love those guys.
I think that's one of the coolest things about the internet these days is, one of the negative parts is that I think people have way worse social skills than they used to because they're not like forced to be friends with the people directly around them. You know what I mean? Like when we were growing up, my next door neighbor was my best friend. Looking back on it, like he wasn't that nice to me a lot of the time. You know what I mean? And like we're cool. I haven't seen him in forever. He lives in like Colorado. But like just at the time, it was like, well, this is my best friend because he's the person who lives next to me, right? And then even in like public schools and everything, you're just friends with the kids that are directly around you or the kids that are in the sport that you're in because that's who you like have access to, which teaches you a lot. But you like, I think with the internet, you can develop such unique and strong relationships with people that are real. I feel like a lot of people don't give those relationships credit, but like I've met a lot of people through Instagram that like I talked to a lot before I ever met them in person, and then like became friends. And they're definitely my friends outside of content or anything, you know, like James G. Do you know James G? James Makes Music on Instagram.
No,
he lives in Minnesota. He's the dude who does like, he's been viral million times for like healing, like doing healing tricks and stuff. And he's a rapper and everything. He's from Minnesota. And I just like randomly came across him and was like, where are you from? And he goes, Minnesota. I was like, sick. We should do an interview. He's like, yep. So drove to his house and did that. But he's become my buddy that goes to shows with me.
Wow.
And like we never like take photos and post to Instagram that like we're hanging out doing this because it's not about that. You know what I mean? But like he came with me to the Kari show when he was in town. He came with me to see Sunreal when Sunreal was in town. I feel like I've met a lot of people just through social media in that kind of way, which is like so sick.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's actually how I met Landon.
Oh, okay.
Well, not directly, but like there's another artist, Bear.
Yeah, I interviewed Bear recently.
Oh yeah. Bear was just like, I was like demoing shoes out at my gym, and she was like, hey, I just wanted to say I really like your content. And I was like, wait a second. You just like followed me like the past few days, right? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I listened to your music and it was great. And she's like, oh my gosh, thanks so much. That means a lot. And then we're just like, hey, let's like climb together sometime. And so me and her partner and her, we were all like climbing together, and I got to meet Landon through her, and like just a whole community just off of like an internet connection.
Did you go to her sold out show at First Ave?
Yes.
Dude, sick. I interviewed her like right after that.
Oh, dang.
And then Landon at the same time went to Europe on his first tour.
Yeah.
Which is so sick.
Great people.
Yeah, incredible. Well, this was incredible. Thank you so much for hosting me. Let me give you a little gift real quick. Do you like coffee?
I do like coffee.
Killer. So those two options, and these are from Minneapolis actually. So I have Big Bad Decaf right here, and then I have minimum wage Tim's coffee, which is regular. Do you know Minimum Wage Tim?
I don't.
It's like served at a bunch of places in Minneapolis. It's going to be one of those things where it's like once you buy a car, you see that model everywhere.
Yep.
You're going to be seeing it all the way. So you check these out. You can pick whichever one that you want. Cool. And then I also want you to tell me, again, where people can find you and get in contact if they had further questions, and what should people expect from you moving forward from here? What's going to be coming up on the docket over the next like 3 to 6 months?
All right. Yeah, you can follow me on DaddyXClimbs on Instagram or TikTok.
And don't message, hey, daddy.
Yeah, don't. I also have DaddyXClimbs at Gmail, so you can email that. But yeah, expect from me I'm sure, like, just with the weather being a little bit better in Minnesota, I'll be a little bit more active, whether it's climbing or not, on social media. And I'll definitely be at the gym a lot more. I'm feeling healthy. And yeah, just excited to continue and excited to keep growing. And then also, if you're popping out at any competitions, next competition season, feel free to like look for me and say hi, because I just love meeting competitors, and I'm also a coach. So if you want to make that connection at all, I do one-on-one sessions, and I also help coach the Minneapolis team.
And I imagine there's like spectating even is just fun for that.
Yeah, spectating's amazing. That was like my first time seeing a competition. I just went as a spectator, and I was like, these kids are insane. Like, they're so good. And it was just like so inspiring. You walk out of the competition just feeling like, oh, wow, like I want to go do something I never thought possible.
Yeah, dude. Well, again, this is incredible. And I think you're a perfect example of showing like whatever it is that you're passionate about, there is a way to like do something cool with it outside of just like doing it yourself personally. But like with social media as an example, you don't necessarily have to make money off doing it or whatever. And it doesn't have to be based on skill either. Like, there's really no like barrier for entry for doing that.
Yeah.
You can just start making content or creating things based on kind of anything you do, whether it's like woodworking or if it's climbing or it's hiking or it's, I mean, my friend Jared Schutz, who does Wisco dive bar reviews, all he does is drive around to different dive bars in Wisconsin and like makes a living doing that. As crazy as that is. There's like a way to do kind of anything on the internet these days.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.